Well, the big exclusive that we're tracking, a dramatic twist to the entire coal scam story. The additional Solicitor General of India, Harin Rawal, has made some serious allegations against the Attorney General, and NDTV now has that letter that Rawal shot off to the Attorney General Vahanvati, in which he says he has been made a scapegoat in the entire matter and that he, the AG, has tried to interfere in the CBI cases, including the coal scam case. He even refers to a meeting that took place in which he was summoned by SMS by the AG. It's that meeting that took place between the CBI chief and the law minister, with the top government law officials obviously present there. He also talks about how in court they did say that no one had seen the CBI's affidavit, where clearly now it seems ever since the story broke that it's not true, that the law minister as well as the AG had all seen the CBI's report on the coal scam case. Already we've seen the BJP and opposition baying for the government's blood in this matter, demanding the resignation of the law minister and the Prime Minister, as well as it's revealed that the Prime Minister's office officials also did see that report by the CBI in the coal scam case. Well, Sunetra now joins us for more. Sunetra, it's a crucial day ever since this entire story broke. Today, for the first time, we're going to have the Supreme Court taking up the entire matter. The two affidavits submitted by the CBI, one which was the original one and one which was after interference by the law minister.
That's right. You know, on Friday itself, we reported, Gargi, how the CBI, along with its affidavit, the two-page affidavit by CBI Director Ranjit Sinha, in which he says that all reports will be in future just vetted by him and will not be shared by the political executive. That's a promise he made, which kind of was an indication of what has been happening in the past. Also, what he said in that report very clearly, which exposed the government completely, was that the law minister asked for the report to be seen, and also the officials of the Prime Minister's office, official of the coal ministry as well. That's what the CBI director said. And what we also got to know was that CBI, along with that affidavit, gave the report that it had prepared, and the one which was then made changes to, the government changed, and so both versions were presented along with the status report. Now, what the CBI director was completely silent on and what there were gaps on has now been filled in by Harin Rawal's letter. The CBI director hadn't really emphasized on whether the changes that were made were major changes, where the names were deleted, which is what some suspect, that some of the names that were mentioned and which have emerged in the coal investigation, they perhaps would have been deleted by the government in order to tone it down. That's what the vetting was done. CBI director completely remained quiet on that, and when we asked him on Friday to elaborate on what are the changes which he's admitted to, he just said, look, I'll only speak about it in front of the Supreme Court. Now, of course, Harin Rawal's letter takes it a step further. Harin Rawal's letter says very clearly, as reported by my colleague Arunachalam Vaidyanathan, Harin Rawal's letter says changes were suggested by the law minister, also by the country's top law officer representing the government standpoint, that's General Vahanvati, and it also says that the CBI accepted those changes. Now, nowhere, unlike what the government defense was earlier, government's defense has always been, look, we suggested changes and then it's up to the CBI. CBI is completely independent. They can, because we are concerned, it's a coal ministry issue, we've showed them our files. It also concerns the Prime Minister's office, because at that time this entire issue was with the Prime Minister, and so the reason why we had consultations, those are really part of the cause, they claimed, and they said the reason why we had consultations was because we shared information, we needed to see exactly what they've used. But they insisted that there was no pressure. Now, Harin Rawal's letter and also the CBI director's affidavit made it very clear that what the government was suggesting was basically cosmetic, basically grammatical, and proofreading is something that flies in the face of it, because you can see from Harin Rawal's letter and tone that it is very, very serious. Also, what's interesting is that while the CBI director, while the law minister's role has been completely in the spotlight, What has also been in the spotlight, what legal experts and people who are watching this case are also talking about, is the role of the law officers and of course also of the CBI. Some people are asking the question that just like the law officers, should they have revealed in court very clearly when the court asked a question, instead of asking the CBI DIG about whether it was shared or not, if Ghulam Vahanvati was at the meeting, why couldn't he have told the court that yes, it was shared? Why did they keep quiet? Why did they not tell the court? In the same manner, questions are now also being raised about the CBI. Did the CBI have to go to that meeting? Did the CBI have to accept those changes? Does it not show also compliance on their part in accepting those changes? Also, what many people are asking, if the Supreme Court had not asked an unprecedented question, the question of saying, look, give us an affidavit. Let's not forget that the Supreme Court has never asked the CBI director such a question. And many say these questions are asked because the Supreme Court was in the know of things, knew that this may have been, suspected that this may have been happening. Well, if the Supreme Court hadn't asked this question, many are asking, would the CBI director still have owned up to it, and would this have come about? Or would it, like in many other cases where it has been alleged, the CBI would have relented with the government and gone ahead with those changes suggested by the government? These are some of the questions which are being raised by this case, which really changes things around, because while many are saying it's a watershed case, that CBI for the first time is standing up to the government, many are saying, well, really, we're not sure, because is the CBI only revealing and exposing the government because it's been put in a corner by the Supreme Court? But we have to wait and see what the bench, the Supreme Court bench, really, it all lies with them, what kind of strictures, if they choose to pass strictures, or whether when they go through the changes, they feel that they're not major changes and things go back to normal. These are certain things that the government as well is watching very closely. Let's not also forget, Gargi, that for the first time perhaps in a long time, the CBI seems to have the upper hand. For a long time, it's the CBI which has gone to the government asking them whether an appeal can be filed, asking for their opinion. For the first time, the CBI, by giving all its changes, by listing out, by giving those annexures that it has with their status report, for the first time, it's the CBI which seems to have the upper hand with the government. But many are saying that's only because they were forced to do that.
Right, Sunetra, an unprecedented situation clearly, and today we're going to have to wait and see what the Supreme Court decides, anyone's guess. But Vaidya, you have that letter written by the additional Solicitor General in which he makes all those accusations. Firstly, he confirms that that meeting took place between the CBI chief and the law minister as well as the law officials, and also confirms that, yes, they misled the court as far as telling the court that there was no interference in the case.
One of the important points in this letter, if I can read it out, it basically says on the day of the meeting, certain suggestions were made, including by you, meaning Attorney General. So it means, including Attorney General, some other suggestions were made by some others who were present in the meeting. It's known that Law Minister along with the CBI Director and other officials were present. So Rawal's letter clearly points out some suggestions were made by, including by you. It means some other people also made suggestions in the meeting. And the letter also goes on to say this whole inquiry report was shown to the Law Minister, who studied the report, and certain suggestions were made, including by you, to the CBI, some of which were accepted. Basically, not only AG, some other persons in the meeting also suggested some corrections to be made, and all were accepted. So the letter clearly points out saying that not only AG suggested suggestions, some other people in the meeting, maybe Law Minister, maybe other officials, they made suggestions. But it doesn't say who are the other people who made these suggestions. And the end, he says that because of the AG took the lines that he didn't see the report, Arvind Rawal says he has to fall in line with the AG and tell the court saying that this status report was not shared with the government. At the end, he basically says that I can read it out, I have a feeling that I am sought to be made as a scapegoat, but I am confident that truth will prevail. So the important point in this letter was, one, meeting took place at 12:30 in the Law Minister's chamber, and secondly, there was a meeting on the same day at 4:30 p.m. in the evening at Attorney General's official residence at the Motilal Nehru Marg on this report.
Right, Vaidya, now what exactly instigated this entire letter, this explosive letter that's now emerged? Is it that he did feel he was being made a scapegoat and wanted to clear the situation as far as he was concerned?
Basically, when the details were out about the meeting, the question was why did Rawal did not tell the truth to Supreme Court even though he was present in the meeting. When the question was repeatedly asked to him, he didn't say, he simply told me saying that whatever he wanted to say, he will say it in the open court, he will not hide anything. Now his friends suggested to him saying that instead of resigning, why don't he put out all the details in a letter to the AG. That's why just prior to the hearing, he wanted to clear himself off, saying that he should, whatever happened on that day, it's because of the AG. That's why he wrote this letter to AG and also a copy to the law minister detailing what has happened, how he got SMS from the AG, how he went for the meeting, how corrections were suggested, including the AG, which some of which were accepted, and then the evening meeting at the AG's residence.
And where it's hugely embarrassing, as if this situation hasn't been embarrassing enough for the government now, with its top law officers at war of sorts, these accusations flying back and forth. It's hugely embarrassing for the government.
Of course, it's basically just like a cricket team, and the cricket captain is not happy with the teammates. Both are fighting at each other, basically losing the match. Probably we'll have to wait and see what happens. Exactly, the team leader is not cooperating with the teammates accusing the captain. Same thing is happening with the law officers. Of course, this was going on for a long time. For the first time, it has come on record, Harin Rawal writing a letter to the AG on being interfering in sensitive cases, including the present coal case.
All right, Vaidya and Sunita, both thanks so much for joining us with that. As we said, it's a crucial day today as the Supreme Court will take up the case for hearing. The CBI chief will appear in court in this matter.